Caine is gone. The circus is dark. And somewhere beneath it all, in a pit of complete darkness, every single person who ever lost their mind in that place is still there. Kaufmo, Queenie, Ribbit, Scratch. Every abstracted character the show has ever sent into the cellar, still existing, still present, just locked away in the dark where nobody can reach them. Until now. What if Caine being deleted is the thing that finally opens the cellar? What if the abstracted characters are about to come back, and what comes back isn't what anyone is expecting? To understand why this matters, you need to understand exactly what Caine's role in abstraction actually was. In episode 1, the show makes something very clear. Caine cannot cure abstraction. Yes, he can fix Ragatha's glitching. He can pull Pomni out of the void. But Kaufmo, once fully abstracted, gets sent straight to the cellar without a second thought. Because Caine can't fix him. The minds of the humans inside the circus are one of the few things he doesn't seem to have complete control over. Abstraction is what happens when a psychological state collapses entirely, and no amount of finger snapping reverses it. So all Caine can do is manage it, contain it. He opens a portal in the floor and sends them down. Every single time. For every single person who has ever broken in that place. The cellar isn't a cure, it's a storage solution, and Caine was the only one running it. Now he's gone. So what actually happens down there? Darkness calms the abstracted. In episode 3, in a flashback, we see Kinger and Queenie together in his pillow fort, dim, enclosed, away from everything else. Her jagged edges smooth out, her eyes focus. She becomes something almost tranquil, almost reachable, for just long enough for Kinger to feel her one last time. Then Caine drops her into the cellar, and Kinger watches. The abstracted aren't mindless because of what they became. They're unstable because of what surrounds them. The light, the stimulation, the constant exposure to input their fractured minds can no longer process. It overwhelms them. Put them in the dark, remove that stimulation, and something remains. Something that can still focus. Something that can still feel. And it isn't just Queenie. In episode 1, when Ragatha tries to calm Kaufmo by explaining herself, telling him she did find his jokes funny, that she was just having a bad day, his abstracted form goes directly for her anyway. Not randomly, not blindly, specifically. Whatever is left of Kaufmo recognized her, recognized the excuse. Something of the original person is still in there, still reacting, still processing, still responding to the people it knew before everything broke. The consciousness didn't disappear, it fractured. And underneath that fracture, in the pitch black of the cellar, with no light to overwhelm it and no Caine to keep the lid on, it's been sitting there, for years, for some of them, for decades. And now the lid is gone. There are several ways this could play out in episode 9, and none of them are simple. The first possibility is the most immediate. Without Caine maintaining the cellar as a sealed space, the portal he used to send them down might work in both directions. What comes up isn't a restored person. Abstraction is irreversible. The show has been explicit about that. But it isn't nothing either. It's something in between. Not who they were, not the monster they became in the light, but something the years of darkness have been quietly shaping into something new. The second possibility is darker. The cellar wasn't just containment. It was the only thing preventing the abstracted from reaching the circus above them. Caine couldn't delete them, so he kept them down, kept them sealed. Without that seal, they don't wait. They don't slowly come back. They come up into a world that is already collapsing, with no Caine to fix the damage they cause and no system stable enough to survive contact with them. The third possibility is the most interesting of all, and it depends on who specifically is in that cellar. Because it isn't just Kaufmo and Queenie. The very first person to abstract was Scratch, Kinger's colleague from C&A, the person who helped build the system that created Caine. He abstracted before anyone else, before the current group ever arrived, and he has been in the cellar the longest. If anyone has had time to stabilize in the darkness, if anyone still has the most complete understanding of what the circus actually is, it's Scratch. The person who built it. The person who went down first. And if the cellar opens and Scratch comes back in any form, the group doesn't just get a monster. They get the one person in the entire system who might actually know what's happening and why. Then there's Ribbit. The show never let us meet Ribbit properly. Only glimpses, only the door in the hallway, only the clouds in episode 5 showing a rabbit losing its tail while staring at a bow tie. We know Ribbit abstracted before the show began. We know it cost Jax something he has never recovered from. And we know Jax has been in that circus refusing to feel it ever since. If Ribbit comes back, not restored, not the person Jax remembers, but present, real, undeniable, it isn't an adventure Jax can deflect with a joke. It's the thing he has been running from since before Pomni ever arrived. Every character in the current group is connected to someone in that cellar. Kinger to Queenie, Jax to Ribbit, and the group collectively, except for Pomni, to Kaufmo, who they held a funeral for in episode 2, a funeral for someone who was never actually gone, just locked below their feet the entire time. They grieved him. They processed the loss. They said goodbye. They moved on in whatever way the circus allows people to move on. And all of it happened while Kaufmo was right there, down in the dark, still present, still reacting to things, still in some fractured way aware. The official description of episode 9 says the cast discovers the truth about the digital circus and its history. The history. Not just what Kinger knows, not just what the C&A folder revealed, the full truth, the whole picture, everything the system was built to contain. What if part of that truth is the cellar itself? Not as a horror reveal, not as a monster of the week problem to solve, but as the answer to the question the show has been asking since Kaufmo went down in episode 1. What actually happens to the people who abstract? Are they gone? Are they still suffering? Are they aware of each other down there? And if the darkness gives them something back, not their old selves, not their personalities, not the ability to speak or explain or reconnect, but just presence, just the quiet fact of still being there, does that change what abstraction actually means for the show? Because if it does, then everything the characters have understood about their situation shifts. The funerals they held were for people who were never dead. The grief they processed was for people who were still present, still shaped by darkness, still holding on to fragments of who they were. And the group's greatest fear, losing their minds, becoming one of the monsters in the cellar, was never quite the ending they thought it was. And maybe that's the point. Maybe abstraction was never just a fate to be avoided. Maybe it's the one thing Caine could never control, the one process in the entire circus that belongs entirely to the people inside it, and the one thing that, with Caine gone, could mean something completely different than it ever did before. Not a breaking point, a way through. And if abstraction is the exit, if the fractured shell it leaves behind is simply what a mind looks like after it's finally found a way through, then everything the show told us about it was wrong. The monsters in the cellar aren't what's left after someone gave up. They're what's left after someone got out. Do you think the abstracted characters come back? And if they do you think what comes back is something the people left upstairs can still reach? Drop your prediction in the comments. See you in the next one.